Hello everyone, I'm Shikha Saxena, the founder of Aram Resource Management Solutions, fondly called ARMS, an entity engaged in development of human capital. Today, in this video, we're going to discuss the various aspects of a debate. Now, this video is in response to the various queries that you students have raised to your faculty regarding the upcoming debate assessment. We decided to address all your queries. While we've answered those queries one-on-one, yet we decided to create this video to ensure that each one of you gets a detailed explanation of what debate is, what to expect in this assessment, and how to prepare for the same. So let's begin. So the first thing that we'll discuss is what is a debate so that each one of us are on the same platform. Well, debate is actually a formal communication. Now, please mark the word formal. So when I say formal, what I'm trying to say is that in your speech, in your mannerism, while representing your team, you should ensure that the communication you're making is formal. That is what is very, very essential. The second thing is it's an interactive session. And why I say it's an interactive session? Because in case of a debate, we always give you a topic. We've already announced the topics for your debate competition. So we give you a topic which is called the resolution or the motion. These are the two words used for a topic in a debate because a topic of a debate is always controversial. Now, when I say controversial, what I mean is that the topic that is given in a debate scenario always has multiple views or divergent views, and that is what each person comes in present. So basically, in case of a debate, there are two teams. I'm referring to them as Team A and Team B. And these two teams basically take two different stands. So Team A speaks in favor of the topic, and Team B speaks against the topic. What exactly is a favor? What exactly do we mean by in favor or against the topic is something we'll discuss in detail in the coming slides. Now, before we talk about that, what we need to understand is the structure of a debate. I call it the major components of a debate. You need to understand a debate has several stages, and these stages forms the various components of a debate. So what are these components? A debate is essentially divided into three parts. We have an opening, which is called the constructive speech. It is followed by the middle part of the debate, which is called cross-examination or counter argument. And this is followed by what we call is a rebuttal. Now I've introduced you three new words, but don't worry, I'm going to talk about these three words in detail in my next slide. All you need to understand at this point of time is that each debate would have a structure, and the structure would mean there are three layers, three components, and the three components are your opening speech, which is called the constructive speech, your middle part, which is called a cross-examination or a counter-argument, and finally, rebuttal, which is the closing. So let's dig deeper. But before we dig deeper, I'll give you what are the various rules that we follow in debate so that you understand the flow and you understand all these words that I've mentioned so far. So now each team in a debate can consist of one person or more than one person as a team. In our case, we already have told you the teams could be for 3 or 5 people depending upon the strength of the class. Team A, so who do we call Team A? So Team A is the team which opens the debate and makes the constructive speech and the argument supporting that constructive speech. But what is very interesting to understand is that Team A is always the team which is speaking in favor of the topic or the motion or the resolution. Team B is the team which counters the arguments presented by the Team A. And then Team A is again given time for rebuttal in case the new points that Team B would have given you and you would like to counter them. So a counter argument by Team A is called rebuttal, and speaking against the motion is called cross-examination of the arguments or counter arguments. Now each stage, the three stages that I talked about, are timed. Whosoever is the presiding officer or the chairperson or the jury, he'll tell you the rules of the debate before he or she starts the debate, and you would know which section has how much time. So each stage is timed, and a warning bell or a signal is given to you before the last 1 minute. So let me say if the opening speech or the constructive speech is for 5 minutes, at the end of 4 minutes, you'll be given a warning giving you an indication that please wrap up your speech because you are only left with 1 minute. So that is what it is. So sum up your argument and ensure that you conclude whatever you're saying so that you are able to utilize the time in the right manner. And debate is always presided by a chair who can also be a judge, or there can be a separate jury and a separate person presiding the debate called the chairperson, or the, like I said, a jury can also be the chairperson. So these are the rules for the debate. Now let's get deeper to understand what exactly is a constructive speech, the first part of the debate. So the first part of the debate basically comprises of three things. I told you that constructive speech or the opening is always made by team A, and who's team A? The team speaking in favor of the topic. So when you'll come in the class, the jury or the faculty will tell you who's team A and who's team B. And team A will be expected to start the debate by delivering a constructive speech. Now, what are the components of a constructive speech? That is what we're discussing in this slide. So a constructive speech has three components. So what we call them is a greeting, followed by an introduction of the topic, and followed by the stand that the team has taken, team A has taken, and the arguments that supports that stand. That is what is constructive speech. Let's look at an example to understand this with more clarity. So let's look at a sample of what we're talking about, what the constructive speech looks like. Okay, so greetings, respected jury, my worthy opponents, and all present here. Now, this is one of the samples of what greetings looks like. Please underline the word respected. Now, I told you this is a formal communication. Hence, normally the way a debate opens is when someone gets in there, and someone is who? Someone is the captain of team A, the person who's representing team A, one of the team members. He gets up and he makes the constructive speech. So this is how the greetings are made. This is followed by an introduction. Now, when I say introduction, the introduction is basically of the topic. So you need to first clarify what is your understanding of the topic and what is the stand that you are taking. I told you a topic is always controversial, has divergent views. Therefore, it is important that you clarify your stand before we move forward. So an introduction looks like the topic for today's debate is the mobile phone a boon or a bane? Now, if you look at the topic is controversial because people would have opinions that support that mobile is a boon, and there would be people who would say no, mobile phones are not a boon but they are a bane. So that's where the controversy lies. So like I said, the topic for today's debate is the mobile phone a boon or a bane? This is what is announced to make sure that everyone is on the same page. This is followed by the stand that team A has taken. And the team A further goes on to say, I, name of the person who's there. So I, Shikha Saxena, and my team stands for the motion, that is, mobile phone is a boon. So you clarify your stand. You say, I'm speaking for the topic. I'm speaking for the motion. That's how it is said. So I speak for the motion, and you clarify what that means to you as it is there in the sentence that mobile phone is a boon. And then what happens post this, you start making your argument that supports mobile phone is a boon. Now, like we told you earlier in our sessions, that normally when you're speaking on a platform, your opening should be very, very attractive, attention grabber. So there are various approaches that are used in debates to gather attention. In this particular example, I'm using statistics to start with the bang, right? And so what I'm going to further say, I and my team stand for the motion that is mobile phone is a boon. And then I say, 5.34 billion unique mobile users exist in the world today. 1.2 billion people in India use mobile phone, out of which 745 million people are using smartphones. 80% of these users do online shopping using their mobile phones, and this industry is growing at a rate of 6% CAGR. And yet, and yet we are debating if mobile phone is a boon or a bane. So what I have done is I have made an uh, start or a constructive speech by giving statistics which is supporting the argument that mobile phone is a boon, and then I say, is there a topic, is this a topic that should be discussed, and then I'll further build on. So this is called one argument. I have used statistics as an argument to say everyone uses mobile phone, and if anything that is being used by everyone, how it can be a bane. So that's the argument that I have made, and I've supported it with statistics. Now this is one example of an opening speech with BAM, which is using statistics, because I'm grabbing the attention talking about these statistics. There could be different approaches also. There's another approach. We'll also see that approach, which is more like, what we call is a storytelling approach. So here's a sample of a storytelling approach where a person is using a storyline to grab the attentions of the speaker, of the audience. So this story is like, remember the time, think about a time when communication would take 30 days for someone to tell the other person he or she is well. The person would first go to the office or to the market, buy a writing pad, an envelope, write a letter to his or her loved ones, post it, and then 15 days down the line, that person would receive that letter, and then that person would respond to his letter, and this letter would be received in another 15 days. Such a lengthy and hectic process of communication existed in the past. But what is today? You just pick up the phone, dial 10 numbers, and you'll be connected to the people you love. In an era where it takes 5 seconds to connect with a person sitting miles across using a phone, we are debating. What are we debating? If this phone is a boon or a bane. Now, this is a second kind of opening when we're using a storytelling style. There are multiple approaches. You can choose the approach that you want to use based on the topic that you are talking about. I've just given you a sample. All I want to say is that in the constructive speech, the team A needs to start the argument by grabbing the attentions of the speaker, and for that you need to decide what you want. Do you want to use a quote, you want to quote newspaper headlines, you want to use a storytelling style, or you want to go in for statistics? Your call, depending upon what topic you are referring to. Now this is argument number one that we have in support of mobile phone. What? That it is a tool that helps you in a faster communication. Now that was the argument I had, and I supported it with the evidence. I built it and supported it with the evidence. Now there can be argument 2, there can be argument 3, there can be argument 4. Argument 2 could be that anybody who wants to study anything or is looking for any information, just at the click of a button can get that information thanks to the mobile phones. 24/7 access to the all kind of information. That could be the second argument. So build that argument, support it with an evidence so that you are able to say why you're taking that stand. So what I'm talking about is that in your speech, you need to have a point, an argument that you're making to support the topic, provide details about it, and back it with evidence or data. That is how it is built. So this is what an opening speech or a constructive speech is. Depending upon the time that is allotted to you, 3, 5, 7, whatever minutes, you can have the number of arguments in your speech. In case of a team, person A makes argument 1, person B makes not B, I'm saying person 1 of the team A makes argument 1, person 2 of team A makes argument 2, and person 3 of team A makes argument 3, and so on. Depending upon how much time you have, you can decide on the number of arguments that you have. I hope this is clear. So let's move on further and talk about that once the opening team has made their constructive speech, it is time for team B to come and make counter arguments. So what is a counter argument? A counter argument is an argument that negates the points or the argument raised by the previous time. Let's look at this example. So the counter argument is, my worthy opponent just rattled out lots of statistics to argue that mobile phones are boom. What he's forgetting is that statistics are often misleading. Here are some other statistics that I would like to share with you. E-commerce loses from e-commerce loss from digital payment fraud worldwide exceeds 20 billion US dollar in 2021. 160 crore rupees were lost in online frauds in India last year. So his argument that just because a lot of people use mobile phones, hence they are a boon, is baseless. So this is a counter argument. I have negated the argument presented by team A. So in this manner, you counter all the arguments that the other team has made with your arguments as to why you think that is not the right stand. This is called a counter argument. And there is another thing that team B can do. They can bring in a new dimension to the discussion, a point that has not been raised by the other team, but you feel is a strong argument to support your case. So let's just have a look at it. So we further build on. Mobile phones are bane because we are saying mobile phones are not good, are a bane because today the physical and mental growth of teenagers is deeply hampered due to the excessive use of mobile phones. That's something they didn't talk about. Games like blue whales, etc. have resulted in youths committing suicide. So this is an argument that you're making to support your stand that mobile phone is a bane. And this is not a cross-examination of the argument presented by team A, but it's a new argument that you've brought on the table to support your stand. So this is what counter argument is called. Now, when you make a counter argument, post that team A is again given a chance to rebut. Now, what is rebut? Rebuttal is when you come back, team A comes back and talks about a point that they have not made, but were new points raised by team B to support their argument. So let's just look at it. The new argument that was added in the debate was when team B came and said that, the physical and mental health is hampered. So the rebuttal here is, my worthy opponents talked about mental and physical health being hampered by the use of mobile. The point he missed is that mobile phones are not a bane, but their excessive usage is bad. The medal tally of recently concluded Commonwealth Games negate the above point that the physical and mental health of teenagers is hampered by the use of mobile phones, because for the first ever time, youth of India scripted a new history by winning 61 medals in the Commonwealth. So this is a rebuttal. A rebuttal is they have negated the new point raised by team B. So this is the end of the debate. There can be argument 1, 2, 3, whatever is the number of arguments you want to make a rebuttal for, please make, and that ends the debate. Hope the 3 stages of debate are clear. If the 3 stages of debate are clear, we'll move on to talk about how you can prepare for this debate. Okay? In case you guys have any more questions that we have not been able to address so far, please leave a comment. Please leave the question in the comment section. We definitely will get back to you on that. So now moving from what debate is or why debates are happening to the next aspect, how you can prepare for that. So basically when we talk about preparing for the debate, there are 3 M that you should take care of. What are these 3 M? The first is the matter. The second is the method. And the third is the manner. So there are basically 3 M which, what should I say, which dominates the debate. We'll get into details of each one of these in the next few slides. So meta, when I talk about the first time, which is meta, it means what you are going to say. Now, since a topic of a debate is known to us well in advance, we have the opportunity to prepare for the same. Now, preparing for the same is something that we are going to discuss how we can do. So the first thing you need to do is you determine the question. The question is, what is the message that is there in the topic? What is the topic saying? Put it in a simple word. So if I say mobile phones are boon or bane, my simple statement determine the question that I've determined is mobile phone useful or is mobile phone not useful? Or is mobile phone a boon or is mobile phone a bane? So that's a simple question. Determine the question. Once you've determined the question, brainstorm different viewpoints. So now I say mobile phone is a boon. That means it is advantageous. Now there could be multiple arguments that you would have to say why it is advantageous. Now discuss those, brainstorm those different viewpoints. Let each team member work on it and come back to say, okay, I have 5 points to support this argument. And you can discuss what those 5 points are. Each one of you can bring in, it will become 25 points, and then you can discuss further. Then freeze on your stand. Freeze on your stand is we say, okay, so if you're going to speak for the motion, we'll have this argument as the first, this as the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth. This is how we are going to open. That is freezing your stand if you're speaking for the motion or if you're speaking against the motion. Having done that, prepare arguments to support your stand. That's what I just told you. And then you also prepare the possible counter arguments, because that's what you need to understand. What is the other party going to say? And then you don't know that when you're out there on this, on for the debate, what is the topic that would be given to you? Would it be for the motion or against the motion? Because in our case, that is something that will be decided then and there through a toss of a coin. So you need to be prepared to take a stand for the motion as well as a stand against the motion. Moving forward, we're talking about the method. How do you structure your thoughts? So you've looked for these topics, you've looked for the data, you've looked for all the content Googled, and you've got loads and loads of files ready. Now, how do you structure your thoughts? What is the process? So first is look for the opening. What is it that will gather the attention? What should be my opening? What style should I adopt? And to adopt that style, what is the information that I require? That is the first thing that you should work on. And then you should arrange all your arguments in a point form, going from the strongest to the weakest point. So what is the strongest point that support my argument, and what is not so very strong? There's a possibility of a counter coming from the opposition, and you not being able to handle it. So in that sequence, arrange your various arguments, the strongest being the first, and then second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever the numbers you have. Post that, what is very important is to segregate all the arguments that you have into two buckets. There's something called a logical and there's something called an emotional. Going back to my two openings that I gave you, when I talked about statistics, I was being very, very logical and I supported it with data. But when I went on to talk about the emotional aspect, see, it took 30 days for people to connect from one person to the other. Today I can connect. I'm going to go and talk about the emotional aspect. Don't mix emotional and logical arguments, especially while doing a rebuttal or counter argument. A logical argument should be countered with a logical argument, and an emotional one should be countered with an emotional argument. That's how a debate is fought. Support logical points with data and facts. That is what logic is all about. And use quotes, anecdotes for your emotional points. Like I gave you a story of how it took 30 days for people to connect. And how do you present your argument? I think I discussed it already in detail. There's a keyword. The keyword in our point was communication is fast. That was the keyword. And then there was an explanation when I went on to tell that story. And then I give an evidence to it. The evidence was the emotional part of it. Or in other case, the keyword was everybody is using mobile phone, widely used tool. Explanation was lot of statistics along with, sorry, explanation was why it is a boon, and then the evidence was a various statistics. So a keyword and explanation and evidence is how an argument is structured. And finally, the third M, which talks about how you say it. Now, how you say it is what debate is all about. You have the opportunity to choose the right words that you want to use. A right word at a right time has a great impact, and that is what you should be focusing on. And then there is something called voice control. In communication, you understand that the role of words is just 7%. The rest is your tone and your body language. Tone, punctuation, stress, everything what we call is a voice control. That's where the play lies. That's where you are able to connect. That's where you're able to bring home your point. And this voice control need to be supported with the right body language. I cannot be speaking with a lot of stress and not, my body not in sync with that. So that is another thing that you need to be careful about, or you should focus on or work upon. We already had a detailed discussion around the body language, voice, words. This has already been discussed as part of our communication classes. And then the most important thing is the time management. I told you each section is timed. If it is timed, then you need to know when you need to stop, what point you need to make, how detailed you need to go, and when you need to stop. That is what is very important and the key to the success. Otherwise, you might have 10 good arguments, but you'll not have a time to speak about them. So please time them. And the most important is confidence and conviction. Now, the two words that I'm talking about, confidence, of course, you need to show it, exhibit it in your body language, in your style, in facing the audience. But confidence comes with the conviction that you have in the topic or the argument that you're making. Therefore, choose an argument you have great conviction, because that will give you the right voice control as well as the body language. Otherwise, there's a lot of practice required. Bring in that. So that's what I wanted to say as far as what debate is and how you can prepare, and a final slide as to why debates are conducted. The debates are conducted because they promote clarity in thinking. You need to be very, very clear. You cannot have a stand which is two-way. You need to be very clear on your stand. It really, what should I say, accentuates your analytical skills and critical thinking. You need to think it through. While you know the topic, when a person is making taking a stand, you need to think of the counter argument or the rebuttal. So you need to choose from the various list of arguments that you have, which one would I be using right now to counter it, right? And this requires a lot of listening skills. You need to listen to what the opponent is saying, and then you need to have a logical thinking to arrange your argument and put it across. It's all about articulation. I told you it's all about the tone, it's all about the body language, and open-minded. This is very, very important, because you need to have an open mind to look at the perspective that the person is coming from before you can counter or go in for a rebuttal. And finally, it's a test of self-confidence. That is what it is very, very important for us to understand. With this, we come to the end of this video. In case there are any questions, please use the comment section to communicate to us. We'll get back to you. Guys, all the best. Prepare well, work hard, and I'm sure you'll rock the show. Thank you. Have a good day.